Why is game a threat to our most cherished values in our society? Game, you've heard the term game, maybe. Game is when a man is very good at seducing a woman, saying he's got game, right? He knows how to say the right things, do the right things to seduce a woman. So Pastor Dalrock writes an article about why game is a threat to our values. He says game is fundamentally incompatible with our values and is eroding the very foundation of our society. Even the proponents of game would agree with this, that it is true, because our society's ideas are so deeply rooted in chivalry and the virtuous man. If you are a virtuous man, you will be chivalrous. Chivalrous meaning, you will open doors, you will put my lady on the pedestal, treat her as your superior. This is chivalry. When a woman comes in the room, you will stand up, right? The idea of chivalry. So he says feminists may object to the concept of chivalry, but it is closely related to how we measure the virtue of a man. Moreover, without chivalry, feminism would be ineffectual, and as feminism is the belief that men are evil and naturally want to harm women, followed by pleas to men to solve all of women's problems. But while chivalry is closely related to how we measure the virtue of a man's chivalry in itself is not what we use to determine a man's virtue. Now, here's why. In our society, a man proves his virtue by his ability to seduce women. Pastor Dalrock says, I don't mean this merely in the sense of locker room boasting or the values of a small group of pickup artists, which is the guys that really have game are the pickup artists. He says, I mean this in a much more fundamental sense. So here we go. He explains this, how a man proves his virtue by his ability to seduce women. He says, as a society, we are obsessed with generating sexual attraction in women. We see this ability as the most pure test of a good man. A woman's feelings of attraction are a mystical force in our society. It's almost godlike for non-Christians, and even for Christians. And I think I put on my channel some of this stuff we see pastors talking about this, like this is God's message for Christians. If a woman has attraction for you, it's God's message to you that you are doing good things, that she would desire to submit to you because you are God's messenger to her. And if she doesn't want to submit to you, well, that means you're not in God's will, like what otherwise she'd want to. He says we can see how incredibly crass this is because we call it romantic love, but romantic love is far more intertwined with sexual desire than what we are willing to admit. To truly seduce a woman is to make her fall in love with you. Generating the tingles of attraction is an obsession in our society. And you can see it in popular films like The Fifth Element, or even Fireproof. The Christian film Fireproof has the same thing, that if you can't generate attraction in your wife in the movie Fireproof, then you're not a very good man. You're not a good man. We believe that good things should happen to men who can generate attraction in women. He says our greatest fear is that our daughters might become confused and get in a relationship with the wrong, unsexy man. This is also why we need no-fault divorce and child support. Yes, it is important that we encourage men to settle down and become fathers, and yes, it is important that children have the immense benefit of growing up with their fathers. These are good things, but when these objectives interfere with our core values, it is our core values that must prevail. What court in the land could ever overrule a woman's Holy tingles. I don't feel attraction anymore for my man. If she no longer tingles for the father of her children, he deserves to be ejected from his children's lives and have a more sexy man, a more attractive man take his place. Think of the vitriol we heap on such men who dare to complain when this happens to them. They are the lowest of the low in our society, except perhaps for those most detestable men of all, the omegas who can't attract a woman at all. All of our sexual morality is directed and anchored to, do you generate attraction in your woman? He says the hashtag #MeToo movement doesn't object to women trading sex to get ahead. It objects to the fact that in doing so, such women are enticed to have sex with unsexy men, undesirable men. Now that's interesting. That's really interesting. Is that true? I don't know. If you're liking this though, give me a like, give me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you like this content. This is an interesting subject. I'm going to continue this in part 2. But give me a comment. Do you think that this is one of our society's highest values in a good man? That a good man is able to attract women. And if he is unable to attract good, beautiful women to himself, then something wrong with him. Something going on there. He's not really a good man. Something up over there, right? Is this one of our deeply held virtues? I think he's right about that. I think he's right about that. If you're a man, even if you're, a good holy man, and you just aren't attractive to the opposite sex, then yeah, I think we think, hey, there's something wrong with you. Get out of here. Anyway, we got to get this corrected. Got to get it corrected. Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.